All right, good morning, guys. Welcome back to another day of construction class. So, short week this week. I want to get it out there to you. 4 days. PG day on Friday. Professional growth means I am here and you are not. So, you can tune in 8:45 Monday. I'm not going to be, or on Friday. Actually, no, it'll be a little later because we start later on Fridays. But yeah, basically, long story short, I won't be here for you guys on Friday because we have our own thing and you guys do not have class. So just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. I'll put a little note in the news feed of the class just so everyone is aware of that. So lots of things going to be happening this week. Going to be making some big moves. We got some back slats cut. We have seat slats cut. Today we're going to work on an important part, and that is what these seat slats attach to. So the backrest or back support pieces. Those ones are two very important pieces, and they're important for numerous reasons. So what we have here is upper backrest C. So it's a little bit bigger piece, a little more complicated, a little more complex. I wanted to explain some of the things on this piece to you. So we have hole locations, and they're matched on this side. And the information on those holes is clearance holes countersink top. So this piece will have a top and a bottom. Location of part A, mark on underside. So we're actually going to mount this on top of two supports that we're going to make for our backrest. And this will support the fan of 5 or 7 back slats in total. With this piece, so we need to be aware of something. As we can see down here, let's use this corner for example. So we have a edge here, and this section, right to this pencil line here, it's hard to see it. This thin little pencil line, that's all flat. It's a flat section. This here, this dark line, that just marks the center of that flat section. There's an important reason that these need to be flat. So when we take our back piece and we mount it to it, that it has somewhere flush and flat to mount, just like that. So if this is curved, things will not mount the way they should. And we're not going to get a secure piece on the back of this. Awesome, I got some more people in. Thank you for joining, everyone. Drop your name if you have not yet. Yeah. So with these, what I've done to help you guys out is when we get to marking these in class, I've actually marked right here with the little pencil mark the edge of every flat section. We really need to pay attention when marking this out. So I even transfer these edges when I trace this out on my wood, because this really is one of those pieces that accuracy is important. And we gotta, yeah, definitely be on our game when cutting this one. We have transitions between these corners, which can be tough. So if you want, you guys can put relief cuts on every single one. That way it's a straight section, that piece falls away. Another straight section, that piece comes out. So this is upper backrest C. Now we are gonna have to router this on the outside too. We're gonna do all the routering pretty much at the very end. So we're gonna save that. Now, if we had an upper backrest, that means we should have a lower backrest, and that's this one here. These templates, they've seen a little bit better days, but all the information we need is there, and it's all pretty easy to see. So there's gonna be another piece mounted under this one, and it's gonna go right across here. And you can see there's 4 holes that are gonna be used to secure that piece in. And type of hole is a clearance hole, and we're gonna countersink the top. So this will have a top and a bottom, so when we cut it out, we'll mark that. It says centers of parts K, mark on top. So those are the center points I talked to you guys about. And then we have our actual corner locations. They're a little rough shape, but hopefully this will be more clear when I draw it out on the wood for you. So we're gonna cut these today, upper and lower backrest, pretty important ones. We are gonna cut probably the larger one, the upper backrest, and we'll work on that. You guys will be able to see what I'm talking about when it comes to making those straight sections. So I'm going to consult my little guide here, my Kitchissippi chair guide. How many inches? I'm not too sure, Jakob. I'll have to measure it for you. So I've got my little guide here, and it shows right down here on the bottom, it's hard to see, these upper and lower back supports. And they're on a 1x6. So I know I'm going to need 1x6 material, and I've got some here on the table. So we're going to trace these pieces out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the miter saw. We're going to cut the pieces to more useful or manageable lengths, because I don't want to take an 8-foot board to the bandsaw and try and work with it. It's just not practical. It's not safe for you or your classmates. Say someone like Demetrio's walking by, and you swing this board and you catch him in the face with it or something like that. Not a good thing. So what we do is we just cut it to a more manageable piece, and then we'd work with that smaller piece. So hopefully you can see that. I'm going to do just a little bit of tracing there. So one thing about this board is there is a big knot and a split here. But the nice thing is the reason why I chose this board, you guys might be able to see that, and it's got a bit of a split that runs about 4 inches this way. It doesn't seem to go anywhere else. The other side looks pretty good and tight with no big checks or anything. Normally I wouldn't use this board for a structural piece, but nice thing is the shape, this big concavity here, this big depression, actually fits right around that knot really nicely on this board. So got this on here where I need it, and as you guys can see, that knot is right here. So this knot does not actually get included in this workpiece. So this is another way of using pieces that have maybe a defect or maybe something that isn't ideal for structural usage. This will allow you to put use up some of these boards. So you can take your nice sharp pencil, because we should always have one. And what we're going to do is we're going to trace this out. Going to place it on the end. Going to hold it down nice and firm. Going to trace this outer edge right now. I'll put an X on the material I'm going to get rid of. I'll trace the other edge. Start tracing these straight sections. And at every end of the straight section, I'm putting a little mark just to help identify where that straight section is. I'm also going to put little marks to show my center points. So that's going to be important for laying out the K-slats on here. We want them to go in their proper spots. All right, so what I've done here, hard to see, maybe you can see it. I've drawn you a lovely canoe is what I've drawn. And that's gonna be this piece. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop this down, and we'll work with this piece, and we'll turn ourselves towards the bandsaw, and I'll kind of explain how I do this. So I'm just gonna cut this piece. I'll be back in just a moment. So I've got our canoe traced out. You can kind of see it there a little bit. That might work the best. And you can see I missed that knot entirely. And I've got a little bit of space on that end there. So this is what we're going to work with. One thing I did notice though is right there. Hard to see it. Maybe camera can't pick it up. That's a staple. I don't want that staple in my work. That could be bad for saw blades. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out. So I've just got this little prying tool here, kind of for removing staples. Pop it underneath there. And we'll just get that out. Okay, no staples, no problems. So we are going to move this camera over to the bandsaw. I know you're probably all cringing. I don't have those nice TikTok transitions. But I've got woodworking skills, and that's good enough for me. I don't need to be good at TikTok. So we are gonna start on the end here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna make multiple straight cuts. So we're gonna cut from this corner into that one. What I might do is I'm gonna make a couple relief cuts, and that should allow a couple of these pieces to fall out. And we will start working from there. So I'm gonna just quickly make a couple relief cuts. But firstly, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change my safety glasses, regular glasses for safety glasses. I like having my sleeves up. These would be fine, but it's just a habit. I don't know why, but I don't think it's a bad habit. Something that my shop teacher drilled back into me in high school. He always worked with his sleeves up. So. All right, so what I'm gonna do is make a couple relief cuts, and then we are going to start with the rest of this. And we're gonna plug it in. What you guys may notice is if you're trying to make a relief cut and you're trying to make this last one right here on the end by the end of the canoe, over here, your material is going to hit here. So instead of pushing this in 90 degrees, we're going to turn this on about a 45-degree angle, like this. And that's how we're going to get down to this last spot. The relief cut doesn't have to be completely perpendicular to your wood every time. It doesn't have to be that way. So with those last two, you can see I came in on a bit of an angle. That was to allow me to get into where I need to. Now what's going to happen now when I cut this, these pieces will fall away. And that's what I'm looking for. So we want to keep nice and stable. That's our first straight cut. Now we're going to see how the rest go. Now what I'm doing here is, instead of holding it back here and pushing this little bit through the saw to make this last cut, I'm just going to flip it around 180 degrees, cut it up here. That way my fingers are nice and far away from that blade. We don't have to worry about getting in too close. So it's a little hard to see, folks, but once we focus out, these are all straight sections. And we want to keep these as straight as possible. We want to avoid curves. So when it comes to these, I'm going to come back with the saw a little bit and trim a couple of these up. The way I pushed is I had to kind of curve a little bit at the beginning of each one to line the blade up. So I'm going to flip this. I'm going to go back and trim those little bits off. And I'm not going to do any sanding here. I want to keep this as flat as possible, each one of these surfaces. So this is where those saw cuts count. What I am going to do is I will sand this edge just a little bit here and this here, but nothing on these flats. I want to maintain a flat surface on every one of these. It's very important. Now what we're going to do is we are going to, if you guys can see it, the X there. So we're going to come in, cut these curves, and finish up our canoes. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys about the next steps after that. Just putting a couple of relief cuts in here to make it easy. I'll put a couple on this side as well. So one thing I want to show you guys, to keep my lines nice and curved and not have any divots in them from the relief cuts, I don't actually put my relief cuts right down to the line. I put them close, but I put them close enough that when I swing my saw blade through there and I make that cut, it'll finish up those cuts for me. If you go all the way down to that line, you may put divots in that line and then you have to sand those out, making your piece too small. So what I've done is I've come close to the line, and the kerf, the width of the saw blade, will touch that line and knock those pieces out as I make that curve cut. So we had something go on maybe. Not too sure what happened there. But yeah, we'll carry on. Hopefully everything is well here. Got more people joining in. Awesome. Okay. So what we have here is we have our cut edges. Now they don't have to be perfect. Remember, we have a shaping tool. I just like to see them close. That way it saves me time. And I'm not spending a few extra minutes at the sander. Now you say, oh, it's only a few extra minutes. But if you're doing multiple pieces and you spend a few extra minutes a piece at the sander, that's definitely going to take up a bunch of your time. So we're gonna head over to the sander quite quickly, and what we're gonna do is we are gonna do a bit of shaping, and we will get this all figured out. So I'll take you with me on this journey, and hopefully I don't drop you. All right, got the shaper right there. So we're gonna turn on the dust collector, because we always turn that on. So what I have here is my shaped canoe. Both edges are shaped. Still have a little bit of work to do here, but that's going to be kind of a little more precision work. I'm not going to show that on the video. It might take a couple extra minutes to do, and it's going to be boring to watch. What I'm going to make sure is all these different sections are flat. If my markings have come off, I'm going to go and remark the middle of every one of these. I want my pieces to fit exactly in the center of these, and that'll make them look good. So that is the big part of today's video. So when you're doing the smaller piece, backrest C, I believe, or B, I'm not too sure. The smaller one anyways, we need to make sure that these lines are flat. That is the important takeaway from today's lesson, and that may just be on the quiz. So yeah, I'm gonna create a bunch more of these, bunch more pieces today. It is a short week this week, just so you guys know. I know I have a few extra in here now than I did before. Also, I seem to have lost my chat for some reason. I had this video reformat. So if you could drop your names again, that would be awesome. I would appreciate that. So what we're gonna do is, yeah, we're gonna finish this piece up. I'm gonna create a bunch of pieces. I'm gonna do a bunch of building this week. I'm gonna have a lot of stuff that's just pre-done, maybe even start assembly of some of these projects this week. And also, yes, for those who have come in a little later, no class for you guys on Friday. Don't come in at 9:30 on Friday, because I won't be here. We have a PG day, professional growth, and we're doing some work here, and then it's break time. So after that, we're going to be coming back on the 4th. 4th to 11th is online classes. And then 11th onwards is in-class classes, as far as we know so far. This could change. So stay tuned to your D2L. Watch the news, Twitter, whatever it takes, wherever you get your news from, whatever social media feed. Let's pay attention to that when we're over the break. just to make sure that we are getting the information we need. Check your emails as well. Always check your emails because it'll be there. I might post up something on D2L once I get things absolutely 100% confirmed. That way you guys have that information as well. So I want to say thank you guys for joining today's class. If you dropped your name, you can take off. If you haven't, drop your name. There will be a quiz. There's always a quiz. I will open that up in just a few minutes. Just like normal, I'm going to shut down today's video, but I will be here for you for the next 15 minutes if you guys need assistance with anything. So let's start taking care of stuff we haven't taken care of, because I don't want any surprises at the end of the course also. There are a bunch of you guys coming into classes every day. It's awesome. I appreciate it. But there's a bunch that aren't doing any quizzes. So please make an effort. That's why I get your marks. So the week we come back, if we got a whole bunch of outstanding stuff that we haven't done, that is going to be when we complete that. It won't be assembling chairs then. So I want everyone to have everything done so we can come back and hopefully build some chairs or cut a bunch of parts for chairs. And if we haven't done our work in class, we need to finish that before we get back on the tools. So there's a little incentive for you. Thank you much, folks. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.